And what about those Palestinians in hospital who are on life support, and babies and incubators whose life support and incubator will have to be turned off because the Israelis have cut the power to Gaza?
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis. We don't target them. Now, the world can come and bring them anything they want. If you want to bring them electricity, I'm not going to feed electricity or water to my enemies. If anyone else wants, that's fine. We're not responsible for them.
This is the point.
But you
this
keep
is the
on.
point.
I want to tell you. No, listen. You listen to me right now. I've heard you enough.
No, I understand. We're trying to have a conversation here. Listen, this is my program. This is my show. And I am asking the questions. You're raising your voice, and I've asked you, and we've already stopped, please, and let me finish. We've already distinguished. It's nothing about Shem. We're trying to have a conversation about a very serious situation here, and you are refusing to address it.
Jump over immediately, and again, you
absolutely not. You are incorrect.
They are responsible, because I can tell you that when the UK,
absolutely
when Great Britain was fighting the Nazis during World War II, no one asked what's going on in Dresden. It was the Nazis targeting London, and you targeted Dresden.
Sky News is now trying to cover up this clip where one of their reporters asked former Israeli official Naftali Bennett about the decision to cut off electricity to Gaza.
And what about those Palestinians in hospital who are on life support, and babies and incubators whose life support and incubator will have to be turned off because the Israelis have cut the power to Gaza?
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis. We don't target them. Now, the world can come and bring them anything they want. If you want to bring them electricity, I'm not going to feed electricity or water to my enemies. If anyone else wants, that's fine. We're not responsible for them.
This is the point.
But you keep on. I want to tell you. No, listen. You listen to me right now. I've heard you enough.
No, I understand. We're trying to have a conversation.
Oh my goodness. This is your brain on Zionism, folks. He's talking about Gaza, a place where 2.3 million children live, who Israel is keeping in an open-air prison and regularly bombarding with missiles. How are you gonna say they're far-right extremists who deserve to die, Naftali Bennett? Of course you don't actually believe this. You just want to justify the inhumane actions of the Israeli apartheid state against Arab peoples. If anyone's a Yahtzee, it's this guy.
Are you saying that every image we see on our television screens has been fabricated from somewhere else, that every child we see pulled from rubble and taken to a hospital running out of supplies is a fake picture?
And in Mosul, there weren't difficult pictures as well. War is very, very difficult. We don't want to see civilian casualties. But who is responsible for this war?
Are you saying, there is collateral damage of civilians, or are you not saying that? In destroying Hamas, in destroying Hamas, you will destroy Gaza. Do you accept that is
I don't accept
end
that.
result
I don't accept. I don't accept
your
that.
campaign? Well,
I don't accept that.
You yourself
I think
say
that
Hamas
I don't
hides
accept
in
the rationale.
hospitals, that they use human shields to protect themselves. So how do you get to Hamas without killing civilians, which is what seems to be happening?
So we are going to make a maximum effort to hit the Hamas machine without doing what we can to avoid civilian casualties. Are you telling me
how many apartment blocks have been destroyed in Gaza already? Your satellite surveillance could probably count
that
for
Hamas
you
has
how many
immunity?
apartment buildings you have destroyed, how many civilian buildings you have destroyed in Gaza City
We don't target civilian structures. That is incorrect what you've said. We don't target civilian structures.
So what are those high-rise buildings we've seen destroyed? In Beit Hanun, on the border, that I've seen with my own eyes.
They are Hamas targets.
What, all of the buildings?
What we target are Hamas strongholds. That's the other way, to allow these butchers to kill our people and just turn the other cheek. Would you do that in Britain?
This is not about Britain. This is about
of course, it's Israelis dying. So
the areas in Gaza which have been flattened, which is the homes
you are holding Israel to
even in Khan Yunis, where you're asking people to flee, there have been airstrikes.
You are holding Israel to a standard that you don't hold your own country to. That's the truth. That's the truth.
I'm just saying
We are responding to violent
This is about
terrorism.
Final thought. When will you be able to give your truth that you say this was not an airstrike by Israel?
I hope as soon as possible. But I urge you, why are you believing Hamas propaganda? At least be skeptical.
Mark Regev, thank you for your time. Thank you.
But so do Palestinians, and that's a fact that's often ignored. Palestinians are, at best, third-class citizens in the nation of their birth. The idea that it's even remotely controversial to call what Israel has imposed on Palestinians a form of apartheid is laughable. One look at a current map of Israel, Gaza, and the occupied territories conjures up only one other example: apartheid-era South Africa. The Israeli government, on an ongoing basis, declares parcels of land on which Palestinians live to be either of military or archaeological importance, causing residents to be evicted. Sometimes there's a court case, and almost always the Palestinians lose. Yet months or weeks later, that same important land suddenly becomes home to a brand new Israeli settlement. As more and more Jewish settlers take over land on which Arabs live, the occupied West Bank becomes de facto more Israeli and, in the explicit hopes of the Israeli government, more Jewish. This is a long-standing attempt and a deliberate attempt to force Arabs who have lived in that land, sometimes for hundreds of years, out. It's an attempt to dilute their presence, because to have Arabs as full participants is, in the opinion of the Israeli government and their courts, diluting Israel. Just prior to the pandemic, I toured many of the contested areas and homes from which Arabs are being pushed out, both in Israel proper and in the occupied territories. Palestinians don't control the important parts of their lives. Palestinian families are refused permits to build or renovate their homes. When they connect their homes to the municipal water supply, Israeli soldiers sometimes cut the pipes. When they attempt to harness solar energy because their homes are not on the grid, Israeli soldiers literally come and remove solar panels from their homes. I spent an hour and a half traveling alongside an elderly Palestinian woman who was being transferred between 3 ambulances from Gaza to the no-man's land in between and then into Israel to get cancer treatment. 3 ambulances over the course of 1 mile, more than an hour to cross the border. That's how Gazans live. Without medical treatment because Israel prevents it. Without electricity much of the time because Israel prevents it. Without the ability to fish in the Mediterranean Ocean because Israel prevents it. Without an airport or a seaport because Israel prevents it. Like Israelis, Palestinians also have a right to exist and to defend themselves. But there is no one willing to help them do that. Not the Israeli courts and not the U.S. government. What the U.S. also shares with Israel is the belief that Hamas, the political party that governs Gaza, is a terrorist organization that calls for the destruction of Israel. Hamas is supported by the majority of Palestinians in Gaza. Hamas may not be in the best long-term interests of the Gazans, but peace hasn't really worked out for them. Faced with an Israeli government which pens them into what has been called the world's largest open-air prison, they have chosen a government that most of us wouldn't prefer. One that is not given to negotiation and moderation and respect for its neighbor. Israel needs a new approach to the Palestinians, and America needs a new approach to Israel. After more than 7 decades of not just being deprived of land from which they were evicted, Palestinian frustration runs deep. It may be worth going deeper than what you may hear inside your bubble and understanding the depth to which the Palestinian people are subject to apartheid in their own land, deprived of basic necessities, and subject to relentless civil rights violations. This is not a secret. It's out there for you to see. You just have to look for it.